All right. Well, hello everyone. Thanks for being here. This is a bigger turnout than I was expecting, so this is pretty cool. Um, I am Morgan Coddington. I'm the Secondary Student Success Coordinator for the College of Ed. So hopefully you're in the right place. And then I'll let the other advisors introduce themselves if Nicole would like to go first.
Yeah, so I'm Nicole Yorba. I am one of the new student success advisors for the elementary programs.
And then my name is Megan Lindbeck, and I am the newer Director of Student Success. So I work really closely with Morgan and Nicole, helping college vet students.
And Shelley?
Hi, I'm Shelley Jund, and I support the teacher education application process. So I imagine that at some point in time, we'll be in communication with each other.
Wonderful. Okay, well then we will get started here. Hopefully you can see my screen. So we're gonna start with professional year first, just so that if you've already gone through the teacher ed spiel, you don't have to hear it again. You're welcome to jump off when we're done talking about professional year. If you have additional questions, you're welcome to stay till the end. We will do questions at the end. Otherwise, you can always email us or throw some stuff in the chat and maybe one of us could try to get to it. But we'll just go ahead and get started. So most of you are here most likely because you know that there are some deadlines coming up. So the deadline for applications this time around is going to be February 2nd. Hopefully you'll get them done sooner, but if not, that is okay. We have until about 5 p.m. on the 2nd is the kind of hard deadline. If you are a secondary program and you are in the English, world languages, political science, or history programs, and you applied to teacher ed last semester, hopefully you are here because you are planning to apply to your professional year. If you are here because you want to apply to teacher ed and you're in one of those cohorted programs, your application will not actually open until next semester. No big deal if not. If you have any questions about that, you can always email me. But yeah, and if you're elementary or a program under the elementary ed umbrella, applications are open all of the time for each one. So welcome and thank you for being here. Doesn't Nicole or Megan, y'all have anything to add there?
No, if you like after this info session, like if you have any questions or if you're not sure if you're ready to apply or anything, just send us an email, shoot us an email, make us an appointment with us, and then we can definitely let you know when would be the right time to apply.
Awesome. So yeah, if you are applying to professional year, you will likely have already applied to teacher ed and gone through the task stream process. It's a relatively straightforward process the second time around. The elementary ed programs, those are all listed there. In order to apply, you'll need to have completed most or all of your upper division coursework, including your endorsement courses. You'll need to have all of your practice exam completed and passed, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little while. A 3.0 cumulative GPA, as well as in your education courses and in your endorsement area if you have one. For secondary programs, that's literally anything K-12, 6-12, any of those programs that are more content specific. You'll need to have completed all of your lower and most of your upper division coursework and your endorsement courses if that applies to you. You'll need to have a 3.0 cumulative and education and endorsement area if applicable, same as the elementary side. And one thing that is important to note, and this is kind of the same with elementary, it's just kind of looks a little different on paper. But if you are a secondary major, all of your coursework does need to be completed before you start your student teaching semester. So you're going into your professional year, so you still have one fall semester to make that happen. But the spring semester when you're student teaching, if you are in any of the programs aside from STEM, you will need to have your student teaching be your only course that you take, with the exception of a couple 1-credit capstone courses. Anything to add, Nicole or Megan?
Yeah, so with the elementary program, so the only two programs that would really have endorsement areas just in case some of you are like, I don't know what an endorsement area is. If you're elementary education, you'll have an endorsement area, and then elementary education TESOL is the endorsement. And so all the other programs wouldn't necessarily have endorsements. And then in regards to like the check sheets, if you have any questions on like, what's the check sheet or how do I know, like you can shoot me an email and I'll send you our check sheet. And it has a kind of a laid out list of classes and the path that you need to take them and in the order and everything. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to shoot me an email and I'm more than happy to assist.
Thank you. And yeah, for secondary, the ones that mostly have endorsements, I'm thinking history, you have social studies or multidisciplinary. If you are a physical education major and you've more recently started the program, you'll do the PE and health endorsements. I think those are the two big ones. And political science, if you have, you'll have a second area of endorsement in the social sciences field. So when you go, yeah, go ahead, Nicole. Yeah.
Oh, yes. So I was going to say the materials required for your professional year application. So there are three main things. So the first thing is the 3.0 GPA in all the criteria areas. So cumulatively, GPA, the teacher education courses, and then the endorsement area. And I believe with the secondary, it's not teacher ed courses, it's the content area. And then the second thing that you'll need is the background check and fingerprints. So there is a fingerprint packet on the 7th floor of the education building. It should be right outside the door. For some reason, there's none there. You can walk right in and Shelly or Lori will be there and they'll be able to assist where those packets are. You'll have to go down to a sheriff's office to get your fingerprints completed on that packet. And the background check is roughly about $30. It might be a little less, but they will only accept checks or money orders. And it's to ISDE, okay?
It's for 28-25 to be exact. And there's also some packets in your advising suite as well, if that's more convenient for students.
Yes, and we have those as well. And the advising suite is on the 3rd floor, room 321, okay? And then you'll need your official praxis scores. This is mainly for elementary program students, so it's required at the time of your application. So you have to have your praxis exams completed and passed by that time. So you want to make sure that you have that information uploaded. And then for secondary students, you'll just need to have your praxis score 60 days before your student teaching semester of your professional year.
And that is like a hard deadline. So if you can do it earlier, great. A lot of you folks in this position, if you're applying to professional year for this upcoming fall, typically the recommendation is that you take your praxis this summer. Gives you some time to focus in and do your praxis over the summer. And then also if you don't pass the first time, you have time to take it again. You do have to go 30 days between tests. So it's always good to just kind of have that in the back of your mind, kind of thinking ahead. The only other thing for secondary I'll mention is that, yes, your education, or excuse me, your content area GPA will be looked at, but so will your education courses. So the EdCifs, EdTech, anything you've taken with those prefixes, STEM Ed, if you're STEM, will be also need to be cumulatively a 3.0. Okay.
So these are common questions that we have surrounding the praxis exam, and a lot of this can pertain mainly to elementary ed or elementary program students, not elementary ed program, but all the elementary programs, just because you have to have your scores by the time you apply. So if you're still waiting for your scores, so you've taken them all and you're waiting and the February 2nd deadline's coming up, still apply. We're still encouraging you to apply, but you want to make sure that within your application, you let us know like when, like that you're waiting for your scores. And then when they do come in, you want to make sure you're emailing Lori Pierce French. She oversees the professional year applications. And so as soon as you receive them, because sometimes the scores don't get sent directly to us, even though you put our information in there. If for some reason, like Lori says that she still doesn't have them, just still include any praxis score that you have in the application. And then let's say that you haven't taken your praxis exams. Well, you definitely need to make sure you take them ASAP. So if you have them scheduled after the deadline, even though you're supposed to have them completed by the time you apply, still submit an application. However, you want to let us know when you're registered for the exams. The biggest thing is placement. And so you are not able to start any professional year at all without having your praxis exams passed. And so it's really important that you take those sooner than later, because otherwise you're going to have to delay a semester. So if you don't have them in and you are waiting for your scores, or you haven't taken them yet and you submitted an application, you are not going to be permitted to start your professional year without passing your praxis exams. Okay.
So definitely over communicate with us about your timeline for those. You do have the option to upload your score into TaskStream, and if you'd like kind of a placeholder, just so we know that it's on your radar, you can always upload a document indicating when you're planning to take them. But yeah, that's really important. We've had some students that have tried to appeal this decision and it was not accepted this past go around. So just please make sure that you're thinking far ahead, and if you have questions or need some information about resources, we're happy to provide those as well.
Yeah. And like Morgan said, like, don't be afraid to over communicate with us, because like communication is the biggest thing. If we don't know what's going on, then there's a chance that they might not even be thinking about getting a placement for you. So it's just over communicate that information. Like, you're not going to be bothering us. Like, this is stuff that we want to know. Okay.
And if you're here because you're applying to initial teacher ed, this is still something to keep in mind, because it will come up, and it'll come up sooner than you realize. So, all right, yeah. So here's kind of just the technical stuff you'll see when you sit down to apply to your professional year. You're going to go to your existing TaskStream account. So you do need to make sure you still have access to your old account. Go to the applications program. The professional year application is going to be in the same area as where you applied for teacher ed. It's just going to be slightly farther down on the left-hand side. Don't forget that you have to submit everything individually. There's not a submit all button at the end. You'll just have to go through and do all of it. If you have questions about the professional year process, here's Lori's email again. This is what you're going to see when you log in. So you scroll down to the left a little bit after you click that applications DRF. You'll see the admission to professional year, and you'll need to do the application component and then the praxis if you have it. And the fingerprinting background check is you're going to indicate when you submitted that paperwork to the state, or to the 7th floor, excuse me. And then you'll verify your GPA. During that application form that you see there that says, please complete this form, it's going to list a bunch of questions about where you might like to be placed. We try to take that into consideration when we place you. Doesn't always happen, but we do try to take that into account. If there are certain schools that you cannot student teach or intern at, such as somewhere you went to school, so you can't student teach where you went to school. If you have a relative or a family member that works at that school, they don't want you there. If you have a coaching job, they actually ask that you don't teach at that school. If you have additional specific questions about that, you can always email one of us.
All right, so the teacher education application. So this is for your initial. So this is after completing like your lower division coursework and stuff. So this is so that you can get into your method courses.
So if you're a professional year and you don't want to stay on, you're welcome to leave. Hopefully that helps, but you can always follow up with us if you have any questions.
So when do you know that you can apply to your teacher education program? So with elementary programs, they're all listed there. You need completion of most of your lower division coursework, and really it's pretty much every, and then all your lower division ed coursework. The only like lower division coursework that isn't really on there, and this is across the board for all the elementary programs, is Math 158. That's something that you can take at a later time. It doesn't have to be before your teacher education application. And then you need a GPA of 3.0 cumulatively and in your education courses. So if you have any questions about whether or not you are on track, or if you completed those classes, or you might be doing it over the summer, like let us know that you're planning on finishing some of the coursework over the summer, because you are still eligible to apply even though you're going to be taking summer courses. If you have any questions, like feel free to schedule an appointment with me, shoot me an email. We can definitely make sure that you're on the right track.
Yeah. And so you should have seen, hopefully, if you haven't yet, no worries, but an invitation if you think you're ready to apply. to receive a code to get your TaskStream account. So that's going to be a survey that you fill out that kind of indicates coursework you've taken thus far. For the elementary programs, it lists a whole bunch of different education courses. I did get a question earlier that was like, I haven't taken all of these, and that's okay. That's because it's all of the ones for all of the programs. So you just need to make sure that you've taken the ones that are on your check sheet that are relevant to your specific program. And then for secondary programs, it's a little more broad, but basically you'll need completion of most of your lower division content coursework, and you will need to have taken all of your lower division education coursework. So you can refer to your catalog or advising sheets or anything like that. Basically, EdCifs 201, EdTech 202, if you're a STEM major, STEM Ed 101, 102, 210. Get into the weeds there. If you have questions, you can always ask me, and I'll look at that when you submit that survey code as well. And you do also need a 3.0 cumulative GPA and a 3.0 average in your education courses. It is worth noting that that would only essentially be around 2 classes for a lot of students. So just something to keep in mind. Okay. So once you have submitted the survey, you've gotten a code, you've read the instructions to upload and create the account and get all that going, this is what you'll see for the teacher education and professional year folio. Do note, just because it's a little weird, that it does say that it's from fall of 22. That's just the last time it was updated. So that is the right place. And this is what you're going to see on your left-hand side. You've got your application to teacher education. You don't have to do reapplying unless you are in fact reapplying. You'll answer some application questions. You'll verify what your GPA is, and we're going to go into kind of the nitty-gritty here in just a second, but this is what you will see when you open that.
For the materials required for the application, so you need about 4 things. So the first one is the 3.8 GPA in all criteria areas, so cumulative GPA, and then your teacher ed courses. You'll have application questions and adjudication if that's applicable. So application questions, it's approximately a page answering the 3 questions, and those are going to be listed on the next slide. And then adjudication, that information should be within like 2 slides as well. And then a written case study response. So there's going to be a case study. I think there's about like 8 that you get to choose from, and you choose one, and the details will be provided in TaskStream, but you'll be doing a written case study response to that. And then you have an application fee of $50, and then we accept a check or money ordered to COED. Okay. And so like Morgan mentioned earlier, when you're in TaskStream and you're submitting your documents and everything, there's no submit all button. Once you do one section, you have to submit that individual section and then move forward, because it's not going to say that it's captured all of your stuff.
It should like
May
flash
I interrupt?
submit at you as well. Sorry, go ahead, Shelley.
I apologize. The application fee is actually written to Boise State University.
Oh,
Let's change that.
well, then we should note that. Please take note that you need to submit it to Boise State University and not co-ed. All right, thank you, Shelley. That is great information. Okay, and yeah, if you're unsure about check or money orders, Google, or you can come talk to us. It's kind of an old technology at this point, but I believe in you. This is the application questions you will see when you apply to the initial. These are the questions where it's the kind of the little, I don't know what to call it. You'll click this, it'll ask you to fill out a 1-page document that kind of answers all 3 of these questions in kind of a cohesive way. And then you will also need to fill out an adjudication form. Every student needs to submit it. If you have a criminal record or you have violated the Boise State Code of Conduct as indicated on the form, you will then be directed to the appeal form for criminal record or code violations. Basically, everyone fills out the form, and then there's a little drop-down box on TaskStream that says, I've done this and I don't need to do anything else, or I have done this and I need to move forward. And if you have questions about that, we're happy to help. But it's always better to be overly honest if you have questions or concerns about that.
Yeah, especially because if you say that you don't need to submit a form, when you do, then that could potentially mean that you will be dismissed from the program. So it's just better to be honest in regards to that, just so that we can make sure that we are supporting you throughout the program and helping you with that appeal form. So there is an interview linked for teacher education, and for the elementary programs, your interview is going to consist of 2 parts. So there's going to be a prepared statement, and then after you present your prepared statement, it is moves forward to committee questions. So when you're in the interview, there's going to be a panel of maybe about 3 to 4 people, sometimes 5. Sometimes it's going to be teachers within the districts here. It's going to be professors, some advisors potentially, and so there you would want to make sure that you have a prepared statement, and I believe there are questions linked in there for your prepared statement, and you want to make sure you type out an outline and upload it to TaskStream at least 24 hours prior to your scheduled interview. And in order to get an interview, you will be emailed about the interview process and to sign up, but you want to make sure you sign up sooner than later because it is first come, first serve. So if there is a time where you're like, oh, those are the only interviews that are available, you'll have to select those times and make it work. So as soon as you get an invitation for an interview, make sure you schedule it sooner than later. Okay.
Yeah, and then for secondary ed programs, the interviews do vary by program. None of them are quite exactly like this, but unless you're told explicitly in an email from Shelley or the program coordinator that you need to upload a prepared statement or an outline, just kind of do what the program coordinator email says to do. It varies pretty significantly. STEM Ed has you do like a lesson. So instead you're gonna teach us something. English has you do kind of a whole group kind of interview. So it's a little less intimidating and you're kind of just in a group of people talking about stuff. I'm not sure what history does, but the program coordinator will be in touch with you about kind of specifics about how to prepare for that.
Yeah, and with the interview process, you want to make sure that you're being professional in the interview. They do take that into consideration of whether or not you move forward in the program. So you definitely want to make sure you go in and you dress professionally. You don't want to walk in with like a sweatsuit on or anything like that. Just make sure that you're being professional within the interview, okay?
Yeah, and one thing to note as well is that disposition is something that we consider to be something that you do need to have good quality disposition to be a teacher. So if there are any concerns with your disposition during the process of the interview, you could be asked to re-interview. The committee might give you some suggestions on kind of ways to build your confidence, maybe just present yourself in a way that's a little bit more professional. That is something that can hinder your ability to make it to professional year. So if that is something that gets flagged, please don't ignore that. Please definitely take that to heart and work with us to see how you can improve, because you will be asked at a certain point not to go forward if that doesn't get addressed.
Yeah, and these interviews happen after the application deadline. So you'll submit the application and then you'll be getting an invite to schedule an interview. And these interviews typically happen, I would think like mid-March, right, Shelley?
Yeah, Shelley will give us some timelines. I have that somewhere in here.
Oh, perfect. And so for the elementary programs, these are the questions that are listed that you would need to write an outline for your prepared statement for the interview.
And I think this is on the website as well, if you need time. And I'm sure it's in your TaskStream account as well. Okay, so if you have questions about the initial application process, Shelley is your gal, and she is going to talk a little bit about just kind of timeline and what we'll be looking at going forward.
Hi, yes. The plan is to process your applications during the week of February 5th, concluding on the 9th. And then I would expect a communication either from me or a secondary program coordinator, hopefully no later than February 14th. Excuse me. Yeah, February 14th. If you haven't heard from either myself or a secondary program, please reach out to me and then I can follow up and see what's happening there for you. And then at least for the elementary programs, the interviews are scheduled to take place between February 19th and conclude by March 8th. So that's what I have to share with you at this point in time. But again, reach out to me throughout if you have any questions.
Thank you, Shelley. And yeah, if you have any questions for any of us about coursework or when you're ready to apply, or just kind of, well, you've thrown a lot of information at us and now I have a lot of questions, come talk to any of us. We're now all just cozy on the 3rd floor, so we are here and ready to answer any questions you might have. That survey, again, will also help determine if you're ready. But we are also just here to help, so thank you, and I will try to see if we've got any questions that we can answer now that I am done. Just maybe for ease, since there's a lot of you in here, if you could put your questions in the chat. Just don't want people talking over each other. Or if we don't have any questions, then that makes things easy.
And then just to reiterate, like the advising suite is on the 3rd floor, room 321. Okay, so we're all there.
Really, no questions. I can't tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
They might be typing, so maybe
there we go.
give
There we
just a
go.
couple minutes.
Okay, can you go over the very beginning of the application again? Like, yes, okay. So, if you go to the Boise State Teacher Education application webpage, so just Google Boise State Teacher Ed application, there will be a link at the top that lists elementary or secondary, and it'll link to a survey. And that survey will ask you a series of questions about your GPA and coursework you've taken thus far. And then that will come to one of us and we'll look at it, make sure everything looks good. And as long as you're ready, you'll get an email from us with 2 different documents, one on how to make a TaskStream account and the other on how to register for the specific teacher education platform. And if you don't, if we determine you're not ready, you'll get just an email from us explaining when to apply. And that's it. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for asking. Anything else? Okay, well, I think we'll call it then. I will stop recording and then thank you all.